all signs point to this, as we have a massive update indicating that the Edmonton Oilers are making an imminent move at forward. That and more on today's episode of Oilers Digest. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. My name is Nakash Ganguly. Hope everyone is having an amazing day, an amazing time whenever you guys are watching this. And if this is your first time watching the videos, welcome to the channel. And if you've watched a few videos before, welcome back to the channel. And before we get into all the content today, following Ryan Donato of the Chicago Blackhawks potentially being traded to the Edmonton Oilers, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. 80% of viewers are currently not subscribed. So if you're one of those people who are not subscribed to the channel and you want to join in on following all the Oilers content as quickly as you can and on Oilers Digest in the most digestible way possible, hit subscribe, hit that notification bell. We'll be following every Oilers headline as we get closer to the Stanley Cup Finals. And before that, the trade deadline, and right now the Four Nations, where some moves are supposed to happen. So we have all of that and more today on Oilers Digest. So let's get right into it, where we have a quote from Stan Bowman from an Athletic article that says, the more likely scenario is to find depth players because we have a good group this year, and we have a lot of players right now that are looking for bigger roles. So obviously Stan Bowman was asked a few questions about what he can do going into the trade deadline and the moves the Oilers can possibly make, and what we have on the channel talked about big swings that the Oilers could possibly go for. Stan Bowman is kind of putting, throwing water on the fire there, where he says the more likely scenario is depth players. Is he maybe not showing his hand? We don't know. But going off what Stan Bowman says, we do have some stuff to break down, especially someone like Ryan Donato on the Chicago Blackhawks, who has been linked to the Oilers multiple times by many people in the industry on Saturday on headlines during the games. Elliot Friedman specifically said Ryan Donato is someone the Oilers are looking at, and then he reiterated that statement today on the 32 Thoughts podcast, describing that the Oilers are still interested in someone like that just to add some more depth. They're a little bit unsure of what roles certain players can play for, and the lineup does need some more forward depth, of course. We do know some of their wingers that they brought in are struggling a little bit, the depth wingers and the depth centers. They've been looking for someone the whole year, it seems like. So someone like Ryan Donato could come in and play very well for them. So let's get into that very quickly here. Let's look at Ryan Donato's current season, where he has 37 points in 53 games, which is very solid. He's playing very, very well. He's shooting 15%, which is probably kind of high for someone at his position or at his kind of role. Just been a solid player, playing 50 minutes a night on a not great Blackhawks team, so you can expect that production to be decently high, given the kind of role he's playing, probably way above of what he'd normally play, just because the Blackhawks don't have a lot of good forwards, a lot of depth. So just a good season. Also 19 goals, which would place him, decently high on the Oilers in terms of forwards. He's scoring at a better pace than guys like Jeff Skinner, Podkolzin, Kasperi Kapanen, and Victor Arvidsson. So honestly, would be a good cheap depth get option for the Edmonton Oilers. And if we dive a little bit deeper into the Blackhawks stats here, you can see that Ryan Donato is actually third in scoring on the Chicago Blackhawks, only 3 points behind Teuvo Teravainen for first, and does have 2 less games played. Looking at this, it looks like he actually is first in goals on the team, ahead of Connor McDavid. So, playing 50 minutes a night, scoring 19 goals, despite being on a bad Blackhawks team, I think is pretty good for him. He's shooting 15% again, so it's pretty good. And, to be third on a team in scoring, even though it is the Blackhawks, is something nice to put under your belt. I think he does know how to chip in that offense, and it kind of does speak to his versatility on the team. How good can he kind of be on the Oilers playing in a lesser role? Maybe that will be better for him. The counting stats might dip a little given the ice time, but I think it would be a very, very, very smart acquisition for the Oilers. So let's dive a little bit more into his entire career here. If we go looking at his career, he did start his career obviously with the Boston Bruins, had an okay season there. Hasn't played a lot of playoff hockey. Unfortunately, in his one playoff run with the Seattle Kraken 2 years ago, he only had 2 points in 14 games. That's not great at all. If you're an Oilers fan, you're trying to add guys that are coming in for the playoffs. And his only one showing, aside from the 2-game stint with the Minnesota Wild in 2019-20, which was the pandemic, obviously. He only has 2 playoff points in 19 games. So not the best thing you want for a guy you're trying to acquire for the playoffs. But I think if he comes to the Oilers, he will be kind of rejuvenated. The Oilers are obviously a more proven playoff team than the last few teams he's been on. They know how to go on deep runs. I think they'll be able to find the right place for him. I think it'll be an overall good option. If we look at his career stats in the regular season as well, he still would have to come in and play regular season games no matter how important the playoffs is. He's a consistent player, a 30 to 40 point guy-ish when he plays a full season. He hasn't played a full season in a while, but negligible missed games if we look at the past 3 years, especially 74, 71, 78, now 53. 19 goals already. He's probably going to hit a 20, could go for a 25-ish goal mark, which would be huge for the Oilers down the stretch. They do need some more depth scoring outside of McDavid, Hyman, and Draisaitl, obviously. So that could be big for them. I don't think he would be I don't think he would be an expensive get either. He's one of the lower radar kind of players. Although the trade deadline doesn't have a lot of superstars in it this year, he'd be a good depth option. And as Stan Bowman said, as we mentioned earlier in the video, they are looking for depth options. So if we look at his contract here, he's only making $2 million and he's a UFA at the end of this year. It is honestly the perfect get for the Edmonton Oilers. $2 million at 50% retained is $1 million. Obviously, it's going to be a very cheap ad. And even if they really want to, they could do the double retention and get him for $750. I don't know if they'd be willing to pay the extra price for that. He's only 29 years old. He's not really that old. And I think in terms of depth, he's probably one of the best options available in the trade deadline. The trade deadline is only a month away. The Four Nations is on, so we're going to be looking at teams to make moves sooner rather than later. I think there's 7 more games till the trade deadline, given the break of the Four Nations face-off. So this would be a move that Sam Bowman might want to make quickly. I don't think it would cost any prospects like a Sam O'Reilly, a Bo Akey, or a Matt Savoie. If they do, I feel like that would definitely be an overpayment. It would be something I would stay away from. Donato has been aware of these trade rumors. He knows he's not on the best team. He has 1 year left on his deal. It does make sense they're going to trade him. He did say pretty recently that, I guess in a way, I'm not paying attention to anything else other than, like, he's not expecting anything. I'm just worried about myself and giving my teammates my all. That's all I can really focus on. So Donato, just based on this quote, it seems like he's a team player. Like, no matter what team he's on, whether they're good, bad, in the middle somewhere, he's giving his all to the squad. He's trying to focus on playing the best he can. And if you look at the season, he is having a career year. So maybe just like having the right mindset, whether he gets traded or not, will contribute to just high play within the Oilers. So I think it's going to be very good. It's going to be very solid for them. And if they do end up trading for him, I think it would be the perfect addition. Now, where would Donato fit in the Oilers' lines? Kind of anywhere, whether it's a center or winger. Recently, the Oilers did send down Noah Philp to the AHL to get him some more reps down there. We'll get into that a little bit more later. So he'll be solid for them. Wherever he plays, McDavid makes it work. Draisaitl makes it work. But I think where he does fit the best would be that bottom 6. The Oilers are trying to bolster their bottom 6 going into the playoffs. We know how important depth is in the playoffs. This team, on paper, does look like it has a lot of depth, a lot of name, value, brand guys. But if you dive into the stats more, there is some players you want more out of. We've talked about that extensively a lot. So it's been very solid, and I think it would be a great addition for them. So let's dig in now into what the Oilers can trade for. They do have not a lot of draft picks, but some mid picks that they could trade for. Next year they're fully stocked, so they could easily send out a second, third, fourth. I think these kind of picks, the seconds, the thirds, whatever, they're gone. You can trade them away. You're trying to win now. As we keep saying, Bouchard is up for an extension. McDavid's going to make $20 million average on his next extension, given the salary cap going up. So I think if they can pitch out a second and third, Donato's been traded twice before, and one was for a 3rd round pick, one was for a 5th round pick. The Oilers have both of those. Would they want to chuck more for that 50% retention so they have the flexibility to make more moves? That could be something they do, and I think overall, it's just a smart thing for the Oilers to do, generally speaking. Add in a depth guy like Ryan Donato for cheap. It's the perfect addition if they're not going to swing for the Rakels or Marchands or Gibsons of the world, or even the Noah Dobsons, who knows. But I think Ryan Donato is the perfect addition for them, and I think he'd come in and make a bigger impact than some Oilers fans might expect. He's an under-the-radar player, playing on not a great team that not a lot of people are paying attention to. And I think if they do look to acquire him, it's because they do want to give someone like Noah Philp some more reps in the AHL. He's only played 12 games here, only has 2 points. You want more of that. They like him as a 4C option, but I think you just want him to play more in the just to get more reps. Last year in the A, he did have 37 points in 70 games, which is okay. We know the AHL is kind of a lower scoring league, it's slower pace. But this year he's playing really well. 18 points, 29 games, already 10 goals. I think the best thing for Noah Philp as the right-hand center is to play a lot of AHL games, especially during this Four Nations time, and then be a Black Ace extra 13th option during the playoffs, or get him familiar with the team. So once he comes in, he's good. But I think Ryan Donato is someone who would displace Noah Philp in the lineup. And I think that could be good for both players. It's good for him to get the reps down there. And Donato's a proven NHL scorer. Not the highest scorer, but a consistent one. So that would be very interesting. So, guys, one more thing before we do get out of here. Connor McDavid did have his first practice with the Four Nations today. Should be interesting to see how he plays. I believe he's on a line with Mitch Marner and Sam Reinhart. So that'll be very cool as well. He looks good sporting that Team Canada jersey. Hopefully Team Canada does do well in the Four Nations face-off. We'll be covering that and more on Oilers Digest. So, that being said, guys, do you think Ryan Donato would be a great addition to the Oilers? Do you think it's worth trading for him? Should the Oilers swing for someone higher? Or do you think they should just let Noah Philp play and see what he does at that 4th option? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'm sure we'll talk soon. Bye.